We're live.
Live. If I can pull. Oh yeah.
Live. I'm giving us a like. He's alive. Everyone, get in here.
Yeah.
Talk about some movies.
There we go. I'm really excited to talk about this one.
Oh gosh, I need to mute this.
Yeah, dude, what the heck?
I have it on my phone. I just hear y'all's voices again. I'm like, wait a second.
It's about to come through the stream like 500 times.
Yeah.
I'm putting it in the chats real quick.
I got the fifth note that time.
There you go. Yeah, it's
There
like you
you
got to have that fifth note in there.
Dude, I'd get us killed. I'd accidentally say something. Boom, 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 boom.
I think I said this when we did that episode, but I hate how memeified that music has become.
Because in that scene,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's mostly used for comedic effect now.
Yeah.
Which thanks, Toy Story.
They started it, didn't they?
Yeah.
Probably.
Toy Story 2.
Toy Story 2 goes so hard, so it's okay.
It does. It really does. Destroy Buzz Lightyear.
Am I really that fat?
That whole Buzz Lightyear intro goes so hard.
Yes. The Toy Story intros just go harder and harder. The Toy Story 3 intro where they're like doing
the whole Western thing.
The Western that Andy is imagining in the first movie, but it's like the atomic monkey bomb.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's awesome. We got some people.
We do have some people. For all you people who just joined in, you should drop some comments and let us know what you guys have been watching lately.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of, are we starting off with what we've been watching lately?
Oh yeah, you already know. We're all here. We're back again. We got to start off with what we've been watching. So since Michael has been gone, let's start off with good old Michael.
Yes, I'm happy to be back. By the way,
yes,
missed you guys. Oh man, okay. So I did start a Lost rewatch. Almost done with season 1. I haven't watched in a few days because I've actually been watching other stuff. But it's as awesome as ever. Lost rules. So I'm really excited to see how I feel. As you know, I haven't actually done a Lost rewatch in several years, so I'm actually really excited to see where I land on the following seasons. But that's been fun as always. So movie wise, I'll go back to series here in a second, but movie wise, I did the other night. I was like, okay, I feel a pressure sometimes because there's so many movies. I know you guys at least can relate to this on some level. There's so many movies that I haven't seen, and I actually own some of them. Like I have them right here. Like there's no excuse. I can watch them. But sometimes I don't want to. I don't want to watch those. I don't want to watch something just because it's there or just because I feel guilty about not having seen it yet or something like that. The other night I was like, no, Michael, watch what you want to watch. Who cares?
Beverly Hills Chihuahua 2.
How did you know? No. I put in Maverick, starring Mel Gibson and James Garner and Jodie Foster. And I freaking love that movie still. It's ridiculous and it's it's not like a great film, but it is the epitome of a fun movie and the epitome of actors' chemistry carrying a movie. It is so much fun. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it.
I haven't.
It's been like over a decade, I think, but I remember having a really good time with it.
There is the three of them together. I feel like James Garner just has this effect in any movie he's ever in, but the chemistry between he and Mel Gibson and Jodie Foster is just, there's so many times where the script probably says something fine, but they elevate it and make it hysterical because they're not all known for their comedic chops necessarily, but they were all so freaking funny in that movie. I love it so much. I grew up with it too, so it was a rewatch. But I still love it. The only other big thing, I think, unless I know I haven't been to the theater in like way forever, unfortunately. So that's not a thing. I did watch Superman. You guys talked about it last week. Really enjoyed it. I'm with you guys. I do not like that incarnation of Lex. Just doesn't work for me at all. I like Gene Hackman. Totally respect him as an actor. There's something it doesn't connect. I love the first half of that movie so much. And bits and pieces of the rest of it as well. But yeah, I think honestly, this is going to be interesting as we go through the rest of the Superman movies eventually, but like, I'm interested to see how all of the movies hold up, because in my mind, I still think the best Lex is Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville.
A lot of people think that.
I know I'm not alone. There's something about he just digs into the character. And the thing about that show too is, it's a show, so you have a lot of time to dig into young Lex Luthor. Okay. But he does a great job with it. And so I'm curious to see what I'm going to think of, crap aside, Kevin Spacey. He's a phenomenal actor. So I'm ready to see how he does with it, because I don't remember. I know I've seen it one time. And then revisit old Zuckerberg. what's his that? Jesse Eisenberg. Yeah. So I'm eager to rewatch these and see how it holds up. But at this point, man, there's something about Michael Rosenbaum. He'll be my Lex forever, I think. Although very excited about
Nicholas Hoult.
He is amazing. So I think he's gonna be awesome. Last thing I have is Severance. I rewatched all of Severance in literally 2 days. Because I cannot stop watching it. Only one season, but that series is so good. It's one of the best shows on television right now. And finally getting season 2 starting this week, so I'm ready for it.
I'm so hyped.
I need to watch season 1.
It was the first thing in a while that I've finished a season and been like, I need season 2 right this second, and I have to wait. I have to wait for it. And it's been a long, nearly 3 years now, but
yeah,
we're here, and it's so good. James, very curious to know what you think about it. I think it's so well done.
I've heard nothing but amazing things. So
yeah, Ben Stiller does such a good job with the show. Like
such a weird thing for Ben Stiller.
It's Ben Stiller?
Yeah.
Ben Stiller directs.
Why did I not know that?
Maybe half the episodes.
That's
Ben
wild.
Stiller.
Yeah, he's the showrunner too.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Why?
Yeah.
How is that a piece of information? I'm just now finding out.
Yeah, he did. And then obviously Adam Scott is amazing. You spend the most time with him, but
he needs to be in more dramatic roles, honestly.
Who, Adam Scott?
Yeah.
He's so good, dude. He always plays such a douchebag in anything but Parks and Rec. It's just but seeing him in this show, because of what the show is, you actually see a lot of characteristics that he can bring. So he brings it in the show. So I'm so pumped about season 2. I see where they go with it. It's got a lot of expectation, so I hope they can live up to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been good. I've been watching some good stuff.
Awesome. What about you, Jimmy Jam?
I'll try to go through. Not all of these deserve all the time in the world to talk about them. I kind of did a big DC animated binge because I've just been in the DC mood. The only couple there that I would really point out is I think Justice League New Frontier is really good. It's a period piece like Justice League set in the aftermath of the World War II. Or wait, no, hold on. It's 50s, I believe. But anyways, I'm a sucker for like period pieces and especially like superhero period piece stuff. Like all of the period stuff in Watchmen, I love. I love the whole thing, but just the old school superhero vibes, I think are great. So that one's great. And then I watched Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which I thought was going to be so overhyped because I'm like, whatever, people are just. I always tend to think that these like DC animation always gets at least a half star or a full star bump from people because I'm like they're never. It's like whenever I see what the consensus is, I always land like a half a star or a star below. And I watched Mask of the Phantasm, I'm like, holy crap, this movie rules! I loved it so much.
They re-released it in the theaters a couple of years ago. And I had never seen it. I did go see it, and it's all the things that you've heard are true. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good. I missed it. They just showed it like a few months ago at the Texas Theater, but unfortunately I missed it. So,
oh man,
I watched it like a couple days after they were showing it though. So, but yeah, man, gosh, I loved it. I rewatched The Third Man. That is one of the most perfect movies ever made. And I've probably seen it like 20 times now. I rewatched that movie at the drop of the hat. It's amazing, and everybody has to watch it.
I promise I will.
I like it. Gosh, it's like an easy top 10 for me these days. It's one of like the 6 films that I'm like, this is for sure. I don't even have to like kind of like twiddle my thumbs and wonder like, no, this is it. This is a top 10. I saw A Complete Unknown in the theater. I really liked it. I didn't love it like I hoped I would because I love Walk the Line. I've become a really big Bob Dylan fan over the last couple of years. And I love Inside Llewyn Davis. And there were all of these people being like, this is about to be like, we're about to get like an amazing duology between this and Inside Llewyn Davis. And so I was like, dude, the pieces are there. I love Timmy Chalamet. So I was like, here we go. It was really good, but it wasn't amazing. It wasn't like great to me, which stinks. And like, I'm probably going to forgo the duology because it would absolutely sit in the shadow of Inside Llewyn Davis for me. But it was good. It really was. And I didn't know until I looked it up afterward, but Boyd Holbrook is Johnny Cash. Never noticed that the whole movie. I'm like, hey, this guy's a really good Johnny Cash. And then I found out afterwards he's great in it. And Edward Norton is amazing as Bob Seger. Like the supporting cast is really great. Elle Fanning is really great. There's a lot of really great things about it. It's just overall, I was like, man, I wanted to love this, but oh well. Did Lord of the Rings rewatch? I have nothing to say about that except that it's the most wonderful movie experience of my lifetime, and I cry more the older I get. And then lastly, I saw Nosferatu in the theater.
Yes, sir.
And oh man, I loved it. I thought it was incredible. It was like, for the longest time, whenever, like, for the first time Eggers said he wanted to make a Nosferatu movie, I was nervous it was never going to happen because, like, whenever he first mentioned it years ago, I thought, that is a match too perfectly made in heaven. And because of that, it can never happen. Like it just makes too much sense. The world won't allow Eggers to make a Nosferatu movie, and it did, and it was incredible. There were shots in that just like floored me, and just the tone and the vibe of that movie just like makes you squirm, but like not in a kind of like just a pure gross out or like we're just here for a shot. Like it is an incredibly thoughtful movie. Like it is just like it's so feels like it totally submits to so much of like the worldview and just feel of that era.
Yeah.
Just in terms of like the language and the beliefs and everything. It's just like it was such an incredible experience to me. I thought it was phenomenal, and Eggers is just, man, he makes, I say it all the time, he makes a real movie. Like he comes out and he drops a movie that is worth like talking about. So man, whatever he's doing next, if it's like this Labyrinth remake, which is wild, but whatever it is, I guarantee you I'll be there, because my God, this guy is the like the realest of real filmmakers to me right now.
Yeah,
I gotta watch it.
You do. he I don't know, just something about him. Like I really feel like he spends an insane amount of time researching like history and stuff to like get as much as he can right, which I really appreciate. But like there's just something like really classical about like his filmmaking philosophy that I really like. So I don't know, he's solidified himself. What is this, 4 or 5 movies in now?
This is his 4th like feature film.
Yeah, 4 movies in, and I'm like, this dude is it. He is him.
He could stop making movies right now, and he'd be remembered like decades from now.
Absolutely. And it's also just, it's awesome that we now have another iteration of Nosferatu that's like this awesome, you know?
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
You want to read a couple of the comments real quick?
Yes.
Before we hear from Drewby's. I know one of Drewby's most recent watches.
Oh man, I don't know if I'm going to mention it.
Ooh, I can't wait.
But Gabe, Greenery01, our friend Gabe said Stiller has a really interesting directorial career. I love
Walter Mitty.
I love The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I think it's really nice and fun.
Adam Scott again.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Plays an absolute douchebag. What did I just say?
And then Tropic Thunder is still so great.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Did he direct Tropic Thunder?
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
Oh yeah.
I need to watch Tropic Thunder because I know I've seen it one time, but I had just gotten my wisdom teeth out and I remember nothing. Absolutely nothing.
But the Goldsmith Odyssey said Mask with Phantasm is anything but disappointing. True. And then he said, if you like The Third Man, try Carol Reed's Nearby the Fallen Idol. It's ethics, suspense, and taught as Hitchcock to boot. I haven't seen that. I did just see Odd Man Out from him, though, which was great. Really cool little like Irish noir crime film. And then Gabe said he just saw Return of the King, and then he said no stash rules, and only bald-faced losers hate it. Agreed. And then Stone came in. Welcome, Stone. And he said Nosferatu is the best movie of 2024 to me. Excellent.
Very respectable choice.
I might agree. Ah, man, that's close. But
Drew, is it better than Dune 2?
Not for me.
It's gonna be hard to pass it for me.
Yeah, especially
with, I don't know if Nosferatu is gonna be like fully my thing. We'll see. It might be. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I'm very nervous about watching that movie.
No, Dune is definitely my favorite of the year. Although I will say Nosferatu is like, it's up there. It's very close. It's in my top 3 for sure. Along with Civil War. So those 3 have just,
and Godzilla X Kong, right?
oh yeah, that one movie that I never watched. Yeah, that's actually the best of the year. But yeah, Dune Part 2, that to me is perfection. And actually, speaking of recent watches, I just rewatched it for the first time the other day, which I hate that I'm saying that, because I wish I could have seen it in theaters multiple times, but I was so busy with school whenever it first released in theaters, and I didn't have any time to, and now I hate myself for that. But
I can't believe when you said that the other day, I could not believe you only saw it once.
I know. I know, it's tragic. But hey, it's still amazing when you're watching it at home.
It is.
And also, I will say, the first time I watched it, I did see it in IMAX, so I couldn't really get any better than that. And it was like a perfect theater experience too. So, but yeah, that it's still incredible. Not only is it the best of the year, but it's one of the best of the decade so far. I think that and Oppenheimer are just like the 2 films that were just instant classics for me. I was like, these movies are going to be talked about for a long time. So I'm a huge fan of it, and I'm very, very pumped for Dune Messiah. I can't like watching that ending again. I'm like, man, I will join Paul Atreides in his holy war, bro. I don't give a heck. But yeah,
good, because he's the hero, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but what a movie.
Taking a huge swig.
Yeah, he's actually got vodka in there.
No, all this talk, it made me thirsty, dude. This Arrakis talk.
True, that's true. And then I also made a switch to TV and watched. I finished watching Twin Peaks: The Return, finally. And I still don't know what I think of it. And it's been a few days now.
That's literally everything I hear about it. I don't know what to think of it.
I don't know what I think of it. I love it, but I also don't know what to think of it at the same time. And I also kind of hate it, but I also like absolutely love it at the same time. It's I literally don't know. That David Lynch was just like, yeah, I'm gonna make this and nobody can stop me. But there is so much to enjoy in it, and in episode, I think it was episode 16, there's a very specific character that just, oh man, it's perfect. It is perfect. Like, that is one of the most satisfying things that I've seen in anything ever, honestly.
I wouldn't have thought it would have been like that. Lynch would have been the guy to have just been all right, fans, here you go.
This one's for you.
Yeah.
You deserve it.
Usually I get annoyed with like the kind of wink to the fans, but I was like, yes! It was...
Well, because he withholds that so much.
Yeah.
You're like, I've earned this. Well, now I'm curious. Who is it?
You'll see.
Don't tell me.
No, I'm not going to say anything.
I got 3 episodes in, and I was like, cool, I'm going to keep watching this. And I just dropped it out. I didn't mean to drop it.
And then Michael said, it's lost time.
That was actually a while ago. I don't remember what I dropped it for.
I don't know, but you should definitely pick it back up.
I will, I promise.
Yeah, so that was...
and then you watched Twilight.
And then I watched Twilight.
Oh, no.
Oh man!
Wait, okay, hold on. Did you like it?
Oh, I've seen it before. Low key, the first one I kind of like. It's bad, but it's that baseball scene goes hard, bro.
Dude, supermassive black hole, heck yeah.
Yeah, and then also, dude, it has one of my favorite Paramore songs ever.
Which
I think
Paramore
it's
song is in that one?
I think it's called Decode or something like that.
Dude, the Twilight movies had excellent soundtracks. I'm not talking
Yeah.
score. I'm talking
No,
just.
it had excellent score too, because it's Howard Shore.
Oh, okay. I don't remember the score.
I just rewatched
know...
this. I rewatched the score. I rewatched the movie a couple of years ago with like we were doing like a group watch of the series, and there was a point where I'm like, I heard a couple notes and I'm like, whoa, am I in like the Mines of Moria? What the heck?
Oh.
And then at the end it said Howard Shore, and I was like, whoa.
That makes sense. Interesting. I'm not gonna watch it again, but noted. We should cover that for Halloween.
That would be hilarious,
dude. We could do it for February, Valentine's Day, dude.
God, no.
But no, I would definitely. I'm not even kidding. That would be so much fun to cover on the pod.
Jack Cornwall has joined us, and he said, "I joined us, and you're literally talking about Twilight."
Yes.
Hi, Jack. Y'all want to talk about Last Jedi now? No?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect time. That's the Close Encounters of the Third Kind was just,
It's a code name for the Last Jedi.
Yeah. I'm looking through the comments.
By the way, we have 10 people in here right now.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Welcome, everyone.
I'm interested to see what this group we get in here is going to think of Close Encounters.
Yeah, let us know. Go ahead and start letting us know your thoughts on this movie, because we're about to get into it here in a few minutes.
We are. Let's see. Stone and Ryan said that
Sorry.
that the baseball scene is cinema, and they are correct.
Jack, I love you. Jack says, Last Jedi I had listened to for hours before any more Twilight. My man, finally got you.
Oh, man.
All right.
Y'all want to jump into this?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Yes.
So Close Encounters of the Third Kind, boys. I'm actually like really, really excited about this one, because I know a little bit. I know that Michael didn't love it like he thought he would.
Spoiler.
But I don't know what you really think about it. And we don't know anything about what James thinks of it, other than he sent the
there you go.
Yeah, see, even Ryan is saying it's 4
I know,
notes.
guys.
It's 5 notes.
This is like the Friends clap thing. There's 5 notes. It's not 4. And in Friends, it's 4 claps. Ryan knows.
And in Star Trek, there's 4 lights for people who know that. So,
whew. Should we start with James or me? I'm dying to know what James thinks.
Yeah, let's. I really want to hear some initial thoughts from James first, because we're going in blind with this.
I really loved it a lot. There's a couple things that hold it back. Just a couple things that bother me. But like 95% of this movie's runtime, I was hardcore vibing with. I'm a huge fan of just sci-fi and like alien, anything that's any kind of like alien invasion or alien show up, first contact, like anything like that. I eat up and I'm also like, if you can kind of get semi like disaster movie feel with it, or at least just some feel of like observing a public, like just a group of people reacting to weird phenomena, like anything that touches on that. Hey, I really enjoyed the first half of Day After Tomorrow, just because I like to see the people freak out about the weather. Like, oh, look, weird stuff's happening, and you're just seeing everybody be like, what's happening? Like,
so you love Independence Day, then? That's good.
No, I don't. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
because you don't really get a lot of good versions of that in Independence Day to me. But anyways, yeah, the first, like, I love the whole movie, but the first hour of Spielberg, even the first hour of Spielberg's War of the Worlds is phenomenal. Everything to do with that initial attack and invasion and everything leading up to it. But anyways, about this movie though, immediately it starts off on the right foot. I love the opening with the sandstorm and everybody, like, nobody really knows what's happening, and then, like, the added wrinkle is you've got these groups of people who don't speak each other's language, and then you've got a third party coming in who speaks French, and we've got this French interpreter here, and we got this guy who can speak Spanish, but not, like, it's just, and everybody's like, nobody knows what's going on, and there's these jets, and you wonder what's weird about them, and then you find out about the time thing. I'm like, oh, I am already hooked. This is like, it's so incredibly well shot, and then you get the scene afterwards of the guy, like the flight operators, like on the line being, you're hearing their experience, and everybody's freaking out about, like, what are we seeing? And I'm like me as a fan of this kind of stuff, I'm like, all right, let's go. This is so good. And there were just like, there were so many different individual shots where I'm like, is like Spielberg's like 1970s aesthetic with the film grain and everything, like what he was shooting back then is just absolutely insane. And then the early scenes of, like, the actual UFO stuff showing up. The first scene with the little boy in his room as all of his toys are coming alive and everything. And then he's downstairs, and you can tell that he's seeing them in the house now. And he's like looking off camera, smiling. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so intense. And the shot whenever he's outside and he looks back up at his mom and she's looking at the window at him, and then you see, like, the star moving in the background. Like, oh, this is so cool. So yeah, I don't know. I love the way this movie looked. I love the aliens. I love the vibe of, like, there's phenomena happening. Some people believe it, some people don't. Am I losing my mind? All of this kind of, I don't know. I was a huge fan.
Awesome. That, dude, I'm really glad that you loved it, because I was a bit nervous. I was like, oh no. Am I gonna be the sole person here defending it? But
listen, you don't have to defend it. I'm not about to say here and crap on
Michael
it.
told us he hated it off camera.
This is all wrong.
No,
listen,
but,
I really like this movie. I really like this movie. Let me start with the things that I love about it, because there's a lot. James kind of said it. Every shot is a painting. Like, it's like I could cover this studio room walls with shots from this movie, and I would run out of room on the wall, because there's so many just absolutely gorgeous shots that I want them all in art form for me to own.
Yeah.
And it's the way, whatever he was doing, combination of, practical effects with ILM and the lights, the colors that he used to do back in the 80s, in the 70s. It was just there. When I think of this movie, I think of lighting and colors. Like, that's kind of what I think of orange and blue, like, because they're very prominently featured, and it's just so beautiful. The way that the spaceships look, it's different than really anything I've seen. And it's so, I love how dependent on, I mean, really, it's mostly lights. Like, the shape of them is largely covered up by just the glow of the lights. And I love the patterns that the lights make on them. And the mothership looks so cool. It's just all of the design of the aliens, the design of the ships.
Anytime this movie is messing with clouds, My mind
Yes.
is blown.
Yes, it looks so on a technical level on just how this movie looks, it's perfect. And I don't know if I've seen many that look better. And I do know that they got the guy, I can't remember his name, but the guy that worked on visuals for 2001, he did.
Is it Trumbull?
Yes, I think that's his name. Yes, he did stuff with this one, and that was like, well, that makes sense. And so.
Uh-oh.
Oh no,
We lose Michael?
we did. The aliens took him away.
I didn't like what he was saying about.
Yeah, dude, they're probing him right now.
Oh no.
Yeah, well, Michael,
He's back.
I'm back.
you're back.
I'm back. Okay, cool. Okay, so anyway, it's all that so good. John Williams this movie doesn't get talked about when it comes to the great scores of John Williams, but it should be, because it is so incredible. There were so many moments of this movie, and I love how he interweaves the 5-note motif that's throughout this entire movie. He uses it in like different ways, in different time signatures and different feels, but it's there throughout the whole movie. Really, specifically the ending of the movie, the last 20 minutes or so, the music combined with the visuals, I was on the edge of my seat with my jaw dropped. It was just like too much goodness. But yeah, we need to talk about his score more in like the zeitgeist of, I don't know. He deserves so much praise for this.
Yeah,
and,
especially because last week we forgot to talk about John Williams during Superman.
I take 1 week off, and you guys don't even talk about
that's
one
cool.
of the most
Real
iconic
great, everybody. In case you were upset about that we didn't mention it. Yeah, that score is obviously incredible.
It's phenomenal.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Sorry.
But yeah, so John Williams, amazing. I also love to count, like, I know I just brought up Independence Day and how much I love it, and James is wrong. But to kind of go against Independence Day here, I love that it takes a different approach. With Independence Day, the aliens show up and everyone's terrified. Everyone's assuming that they're just going to take over and kill them, and that's true. In this, it's a totally different thing. There's an awe and a wonder about it, and I love that. I think there's an optimism about this movie, and I love that. There's something very, very refreshing about it, and even to the end, there was a couple of points where I kept waiting. I was like, I feel like something bad's gonna happen. It never did. It never did, and it was like, nope. Aliens and humans living in harmony. Isn't this wonderful? Like, and I love that aspect of it too. Classic Steven Spielberg. Except for War of the Worlds.
I was about to stay away.
But he's typically, his movies have a lot of optimism. At least a good bit of his first ones did. But this movie lost me a bit in the middle. I don't like a lot of what they did with the family. I don't like a lot of, I feel like it started really well. It started and he was kind of losing his mind. At least it felt like he was, to them, it felt like he was losing his mind. I felt like that scene in the house at night where they just all start screaming at each other. It just felt like it came out of nowhere. And honestly, I do feel like a good bit of this movie, I was like, why is everyone just always screaming at each other all the time in this movie? I felt that at multiple points, and to the point where people were yelling over each other, and it was just a lot. And so I felt that a lot in this movie. But specifically with the family, I don't like where we ended up with that. I don't like how, I don't know. It felt weird that they just left him in that, and then he was just like done with them and kissing this other girl at the end, And then with her, even he just deuced out on her too. So I mean, like I felt like at the end when he was going on the ship, I was like, all right, I mean, you got a family and all that, but whatever. Like I felt like very unresolved with the family. And I something about the way that they handled that. I'm not saying everything has to land perfectly with family stuff. That's not what I'm saying at all. I feel like they were asking us to take a leap with them that it didn't feel natural at all. And so to me, that and just in general, I felt like the second act, I did really feel, I felt like a bit of just meandering a bit to a certain point where I was losing interest for a little while. Again, when you get to the third act, it was like miraculous. it was absolutely glorious, and I loved the beginning of the movie too. I just thought there's the tone of the tone of how the family was acting with each other mixed with the optimism of the rest of the movie, and they didn't even like address the family again. It just kind of felt weird. I don't know. So that bothered me. And it left me a little bit wanting in a bad way. And so yeah, that's honestly my main issue was all the human side of things in the second act or so. With Steven Spielberg movies, usually it's like, yes, this awesome stuff is going on, but these human characters are like real people that I care about. And I didn't really know if I should be even like, I didn't know even how I should be feeling about Roy halfway through. And I don't know. I just was, I kind of lost interest, and it felt like it was almost didn't know what it wanted to do for a while. So yeah, those are my main issues with it. The human side of things just was not interesting to me for a good portion of it. But yeah, I don't know.
I have some interesting things to say in response to that. But before I do, we had a lot of comments come through from everyone, so I just thought I'd pick out a couple to read. So first off, Gabe said that Close Encounters has some of Spielberg's finest work as a filmmaker, but he didn't love it. UFOs on their own don't really interest him much, and he loses interest as the human drama dissipates.
I'm fully with Gabe, except I love UFOs.
I love UFOs. I love alien invasions. And this movie, like I mean, you mentioned it earlier, the UFO designs are awesome.
Yeah.
And I love how like every UFO has a different look. Like they aren't the same shape. They have different like lights and stuff. I thought it was just a really unique touch that you just don't really see often. And then the Goldsmith Odyssey first mentioned that I think their favorite version of the film is the theatrical release, because there's 3 versions. There's the theatrical, the director's cut, and then the special edition. I think the special edition came second or something like that.
I will say I watched the director's cut.
I watched the director's cut as well because I saw that you had mentioned that. This makes me want to go and see what all's different between them.
Same. I've only ever seen the director's cut.
I saw that they on one of them apparently they show the inside of the mothership, and Steven Spielberg hates that he did that apparently, and I agree with him. Why would you do that?
I don't want to see the inside of it.
No.
The blinding light is way better.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially when the like big alien first comes out of the
dude.
Oh my god!
He bent over, dude. My jaw dropped.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my! I got chills.
Yeah, it's so good. The Goldsmith Odyssey also mentioned War of the Worlds. First hour is really good. In fact, the first 29 minutes are perfect. There's a community, people who know each other. And then getting over to what we were talking about with the screaming scene and everything, Goldsmith Odyssey also mentioned that that it does come out of nowhere, and it's edited weird, it's emotionally weird, and has no place in the film. This is the biggest reason to see the theatrical release. It's not there.
Oh, interesting.
And then Goldsmith Odyssey also said, I think Stevie put it in to punish him from abandoning his family, which is far from a necessary read of the end. And then Gabe mentioned, y'all should watch No One Will Save You, top tier scary alien invasion thriller. It's like if the last act of Signs and the scene with the kid from Encounters was a whole movie. I'll definitely
I'm in.
I'll have to check that out for sure. I've never heard of it. But yeah, so I loved this movie the first time I watched it, and on this rewatch, I kind of didn't really say much, and I also didn't post my Letterboxd review yet because I kind of wanted to wait for a discussion and just see what you guys think. But my opinion hasn't changed. I still freaking love it, and there's a lot of things that I love a lot more now, and then there's also some things that kind of slipped through the cracks for me this time, and I noticed a few things that like I didn't love or keeps it kind of being perfect for me, very similarly to how James feels. But I also am a huge sucker for alien invasion films. I think like the opening of the film is incredible. And I mentioned it in our group chat whenever James like sent that still from the beginning of are they in a submarine or something like that, all the like military guys like over the communications and stuff. I love that stuff. I love like just the chaos that alien invasion films have. Yeah. And like everyone is trying to figure out what's going on. Some people believe what's happening, some people don't. The government gets involved and like tries coming up with stories. Like I love like creating like paranoia around like alien invasions and stuff. So I love like right from the get-go, like Spielberg is hitting all those high notes for me. And honestly, like I'd say like a good amount of like the early part of this film reminded me a lot of the original War of the Worlds, which I watched for the first time last year, and I absolutely loved that. And just like really seeing like I don't know, just like a good amount of like the human side of things, and like just seeing how like it affects everyone differently. I love how this film does that. So and then also obviously this film looks incredible and it sounds incredible. It's got an all-timer score.
A lot of March of the Resistance shows up with the military.
Yes, I remember there was a scene when they're being transported to the military base, and I literally thought the same thing. I was like, dude, he had that theme cooking back then.
Dang, I didn't notice that. I need to go back and listen.
I'll have to find the track in the score and send it to you so you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a huge fan of the score. And like the opening track is straight out of a horror film. Like it is so eerie and creepy sounding, and I wasn't expecting that. So I don't know. I love how like dynamic this score is, because like it's John Williams. It sounds John Williams, but it's not just the John Williams score that you like come to expect. It's not all like the same kind of sound. There's like a lot of variety in his choices of tracks here, which I found really interesting, and it really stuck with me on this rewatch. And then I think I think honestly, a lot of the family stuff actually really works for me. But I'm with you that like I don't like how it wasn't resolved. I think like there could have been a little more of something there towards the end of the film to really wrap that up, because I don't like how it just ends like without him literally not even thinking of his family at all.
It's almost
I,
like they left and he was just like, all right, I'm done with them.
Yeah.
How about you?
yeah, and like it feels very distasteful, and like I don't think it was like intentionally like Spielberg was trying to say like, oh, like he's like, screw my family now. Like I don't think that's what he was trying to go for with that. I think it's just for some reason that got lost there. I think there's a little bit more conflict there. And like that holding him back a little bit towards the end, I think that would have made it much stronger. But I will say I like that. I actually do like that he goes in the alien ship, because I think a lot of this film is about him being obsessed. Like he has an obsession, and he like doesn't let go of that obsession from the start of the film until the end. And so I I like aspects of like both sides of it. I think that I think that there needed to be a little bit more family drama there to like really like, I don't know, hit a little bit harder, and then also to kind of just be like, yeah, like he's going off and like doing this really cool thing, but like at the same time it's like, man, what are you doing? Like think about like your family, you know, like why are you just like leaving them behind? So I don't know.
Yeah, and this is the thing that holds it back for me as well. I actually didn't have any, like, I never really felt it meandered in the middle act. My issue with it is actually love the middle act and like all of the family drama there and everything, and it all felt like, I mean, with that initial like introductory scene with him where you got the kid bashing the doll in the background and he's upset at his kids for not, you know, wanting to go see the movie he wants them to go see, and like there's already a sense that you get that like this family shouts to resolve problems. One of the lines cracked me up though, when he's like, "You are near death. Get out of the," like, and the kid like jumps out of the, like, Richard Dreyfuss is hilarious.
I did love him in the
like
movie.
he's incredible
in general.
to me in it. And so I actually really loved like the weird constant mixture of emotions within scenes, like when she's, you know, she's concerned about him when she's knocking on that bathroom door and she finally gets it open and he's there, and like the way he sells the like his own fear about himself, like when he's putting the robe on, he's like, I'm really scared, all right, I don't know what's wrong, and like, and she's just vacillating in between like concern for him and then just like infuriate, like it feels like a situation that would be infuriating where you want to comfort them and they're being so ridiculous at the drop of a hat, where you're like, you go from wanting to comfort to just screaming like, just get the frick away from me, all right, like I'm tired. And like the scene whenever he's like, just put your arms around me please, and she's like, I can't, and she's like that whole scene, I actually really like the drama of that, and like having that all go down in front of the kids, and the son calling the dad a, you know, a crybaby, and him nobody just understanding what's happening, and having that come off of the dinner table scene, which I think is fantastic. Like the best bit of acting to me from Richard Dreyfuss, whenever he realizes that everybody's watching him with the mashed potatoes, and he's just having to try to like calmly be like, I guess you've noticed that there's been something weird about Dad, and and he's starting to like say it through tears and stuff, like, and you just see Terry Garr, who I didn't know Terry Garr was in this, but she's really good. But like she doesn't really know what to do or think about any of it, and so I actually really liked all of that family stuff of them not knowing what to do and constantly going back and forth between concern, tears, and just angry shouts and like, what do I do? But it is the thing that really does bother me is just totally jettisoning the family. You have that last really great conversation whenever he's on the phone and he's like, no, I want to see you in person. It's like, all the kids, you're all what? Like it, that's a, that's a good scene. And it's the last scene the family has any, like they're not physically in it, but it's the last scene that they have any mention in it.
Yeah.
And that really does, like, that just feels so, given how prominently they play, like, because this idea of him having to choose between this thing he's obsessing over versus her and the family is already kind of set up. You got that scene of them kissing and like he's like keeping his eye up to see and he's just like, and so it doesn't really feel like there is any real resolution to that, and that really does bother me. And the kiss with, I forget the actress's name, but she's in Magnolia and she's the mom from A Christmas Story. She's great.
Christmas Story is overrated. Go ahead.
Oh, shut up! It's so much better than stupid Independence Day. Anyways,
what a comparison.
But anyways, thank you. The Goldsmith Odyssey, Melinda Dillon. I think she's great. But the kiss they share is so like, it's so out of nowhere because
it is.
I buy the whole like he sees in her like somebody else who saw this thing. So there's that kind of there's the connection. Yeah, there's the connection of like camaraderie of like, you are the person that confirms to me that I'm not crazy. You
understand what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
You're not calling me crazy.
Yeah. It's a form that's not exactly although she experienced trauma and I guess his family left him. So there's a level of trauma bonding happening and all that. So that's all there. That's all well and good. But just like the last, let me kiss you before I go off, I'm like, oh gosh, that is so forced. So that really, especially coming off the heels of the family's absence, that was really the thing that made me like,
rub me the wrong way.
Everything else about this movie, I'm so in love with the way it looks. I'm so in love with the vibes. So in love with the vibes of this movie. And I, even whenever there isn't really the emotional drama, I love just the I didn't know Francois Truffaut was in this. That was like wild to me. But I loved his character and their like all of that, like everything to do with the investigation. There's not even like thematic or emotional drama going on, but we're just like, what the frick is going on? Aliens. This is wild. I love all of that. But especially that kiss, knowing at that point that his family was for sure never going to show up. And then I'm like, okay, well, unfortunately, this has ruled itself out of like 5-star territory for me because like everything else in this movie was just pumping it on all cylinders. I'm like, dang it, I love all of this. And then I was like, man, that's a big like miss for the movie for me.
Yeah, I'm very much with you, except that it bothered me to the point where it dropped. It really did make a good bit of the middle part of the movie kind of problematic for me. And so it brought it down. It wasn't going to be a 5-star, but it brought it down even more. And so like, I did feel like that argument scene in the bedroom, the things that they were saying it just built up to like the most ridiculous. I felt like they were cartoon characters. Like it felt like that yelling, the things that they were saying, it was 0 to 100. It was not really earned in the scenes before it. There was no buildup of tension, and you could feel like at any moment she's gonna blow. Like, and the son, I did not understand why he was calling his dad a crybaby. Like, there was this weird thing there. It just didn't. It felt completely out of left field for me. So maybe if that scene wasn't there, maybe it would have smoothed some things over even then, the lack of the family at the end, like you were saying, James, the lack of the resolve in that story, it really hurts the movie for me on an emotional level, because honestly, like I I'm not invested in their adventure together to the end without the family side and without what came before. I want them to get the kid back, obviously. But I want there to be some sort of a resolve, an emotional resolve within this character that I've been following for the whole movie. And it feels like half of the, or a good chunk of the emotional, weight of the movie, he just dropped. Whenever they dropped him, he dropped them, and you feel that in the movie, and it just doesn't feel right. And so I don't at the end, I wanted to be more emotionally affected than I was. And it didn't do it for me. I do want to add a positive. I can't believe I left this out earlier. I love how in the forefront music theory was in this movie. At the end, when they're like, go up a second, go bring it down a major third, now down an octave, now up a fifth, and all of it was correct. All of that was like what they were playing, the octaves and the intervals that he was saying. All of that was it does something for my music nerd in me when music theory is out in front and it adds to the themes of the movie. I loved it. It just makes me very happy. And I love the idea of trying to communicate to the aliens with math through music, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And it did kind of feel like, obviously these two movies feel very, very, very different, but it did feel like, I think, Drew, you said it in maybe your old review, but something about how this is Arrival before Arrival.
Yeah.
It did feel like Arrival took some inspiration from this movie, even though it feels very different. And better. I think Arrival's a much better movie. Even though I loved it. I liked a lot of this movie. So, but yeah, so unfortunately, it's the lack of which is so weird to say for me in a Spielberg movie. It's the lack of emotional connection for me that I thought I would feel that I just didn't, and it kind of brings it down a solid peg for me. And but again, there's so much to love though. I even love the that initial scene where not the initial scene, but where everything's starting to freak out and he's driving his truck and the truck just turns off. Like that whole scene with him in the truck, the tension there, it's incredible. Like the tension you feel there and his acting through it and everything. I loved all of that so much. And I think that ultimately it's kind of like my experience. It's different because I don't think this is at quite to the level of that of the movie I'm about to say, but it kind of feels similar to that experience that I had with No Country for Old Men, where it was like I don't know what I was expecting with this movie, but I didn't connect with it on a certain way, or whether it's thematically or emotionally, whatever. I just didn't connect with it like I wanted to. So I think it's basically perfectly done technically, and from a filmmaking standpoint and a writing standpoint and all that, I think it's so freaking good. So I'm like, that movie I gave 4 stars just because of all that, but it's missing something for me. But this one, I can't even go quite that far because I think there was a writing issue too. And so I think I'm settling on 3.5 stars. I think that's kind of where I'm settling on this one, because it's just not, it just doesn't connect all the way through for me. Gabe's got my back.
I hear you.
That's Gabe though.
You're wrong.
No, I'm just kidding.
Wrong.
Gabe and I don't always agree, but when we do, I like it.
I guess I want to hear what Drew has to say about some of that. The only thing that, Well, actually, the two things that I want to respond to is one, the truck scene, though, before I forget. That scene is incredible. The whenever the camera pulls out and shows the truck and then the spotlight on the truck, I was like, oh my gosh. And then I audibly went, oh, whenever he like looks over like through the windshield, and you like, I thought they were going to obscure the ship for the longest time. I was like, we're not, to me, I had already seen like one of the famous images of the ship standing above the mountain. Same. I thought that was going to be the big reveal. So when he looks through the windshield and the camera's just looking up at the night sky, and then it just straight up starts hovering over him, and you see it, like my jaw dropped. I was covered in chills. And then you got the shot of him driving down the road, and the shadow runs over the road. Like it blew me away. I was like, this is like absolute insanity. I love this so ridiculously much. But as like the family stuff, I guess like the difference is like I really did connect emotionally to the family stuff throughout, and I had a very different reaction to the shouting scene. Like my thought was, dang, this feels like uncomfortably real.
Wow. Okay.
It was not like a cartoon feel. It was like, it felt like a very unscripted kind of thing of like whenever she just started like, I hate you. It felt like a like flustered people who had absolutely no, it didn't feel like they had a writer writing like a narrative behind anything any bit of their lines. It was really angry, flustered, confused people just shouting because they like when you get like, because you think about it from her perspective. You've got this husband who's like, he's just lost his job. He is acting super weird around the house. The mashed potato, like if you really sit down and think like, what do you do there? Like you'd be really concerned. And then he locks himself in the bathroom and he's not opening it. And when you finally force it open, he's just like in the shower, fully clothed, and like, I think there's something wrong. And then he's also trying to play it like chill. And he's like, like, no, it's okay. I'm confused. Like his like back and like weird kind of bipolarism, I feel like would be so flustering and frustrating to like a person who is in her right mind at that point. And so also like with the shouting kids, because again, I just kind of think like this is a family that communicates like by shouting. And like, especially in the following scene, whenever the dad's out there making a fool of himself in front of everybody, I just kind of got the picture that like this son was being like, this is just a kid who's naturally embarrassed of his dad. Like his dad's wanting to go watch Pinocchio and he's wanting to go be cool and play golf and whatnot. So seeing his dad, who's supposed to be like the dad in his life, just crying twice, like 2 nights in a row and everything. Like, so I was just like, this kid is annoyed and embarrassed of his dad. And so now he's screaming, which makes his younger siblings scream, and the shower's on like full blast. And she can't think straight. So she just starts screaming, and that makes him more confused. Like it felt like this whole cacophony, like of, I don't know. It felt like real and unwritten in a real feeling way to me. But again, where we definitely realign is the dropout. And the Goldsmith Odyssey has been pointing out that like we don't really get anything definite in terms of like he leaves, does he come back, does he like,
that's true.
And I get that like he probably comes back. He was suiting up with all those other people. It seems like and these aliens seem friendly enough. There seems to be an expectation that he's going to be coming back. But those other guys were held there for like years, 30 years. So
I mean, he's gone from their lives for, I mean, have y'all seen Interstellar? I mean, the trauma that causes.
Yeah. So like, and I do think there are sometimes when it feels like reading a film, I don't want to go so far into like, well, practically this is probably what I also want to just let the feel of a movie tell me. Mm-hmm. And that scene is shot with a sense of like finality and conclusiveness to me. And so like, even if technically I can think like, well, he comes back, maybe he'll come back and then he's going to be vindicated in their eyes and this and that. I also don't know if I want, I always want reconciliation, but he is also a frustrating character to me.
He is.
And so I don't know if I want it to be a totally inconsequential happy return kind of deal anyways. So
I don't need their marriage to work out in this movie.
It can be a thing of he sacrificed this for this. There's if y'all seen the Lost City of Zen or Ad Astra, both from James Gray, he makes movies that seem really to be about the idea of there are people that we have needed to when we want to go exploring, charting the world, or going out into space and charting galaxies. There is a sense of wonder that drives people, and a lot of the time we benefit from these people. But when these people are married, when these people have families, it comes at a very real cost. And I love Lost City of Zen. And to me, it's really about that kind of, what is the balance between being that person, that guy who goes out into the unexplored world, that guy who does these things, who follows that human spirit of discovery. But are we just supposed to say to the family, get used to it, get used to it, girl, he's going to be gone. We need him to be gone. And you don't get a right to complain. It's I don't know if that's true. So it would have been more interesting to me if the movie focused more on that weird kind of dichotomy of we want people who are willing to just submit themselves to this human spirit of discovery and adventure and all of that, while recognizing that, and sometimes we celebrate that while at the same time it comes at the cost of what's left behind. And I think that would have been a much more interesting thematic route to have gone.
Fully agree.
Yeah. And also real quick, I just wanted to, the Goldsmith Odyssey has been dropping a lot of really good.
We need to read it. We need to read all his stuff.
Yeah. We'll after I give a quick thought real quick, let's circle back to a couple of those and read them out, because I do really appreciate you just engaging with us.
For sure.
Yeah. It makes the conversations a lot more interesting when it's not just the three of us talking. So I really do appreciate it. But I think, I'm with James. On basically everything he said. I also find the drama between the family, the big dramatic moments, I've found a lot of reality in those as well. And the dinner table scene, absolutely love it. And just seeing his son, I love the shot where you see him and then you see his son in the background, and his son, he's still messing around with the mashed potatoes, and then you see his son just starting to have tears streaming down his face. And I can only imagine that kid's probably well, my dad's gone now, or something like that, so I think that I don't know, in my opinion, I think that the big blowout with them is warranted, because there's so much building up to it for me. So I don't know, it really worked for me. And I just think that the way that they interacted with each other, yelling at each other and stuff, it felt like it was coming from a very real place. And I mean, if you look at Spielberg's most recent, The Fabelmans, there's a lot of, from what we know, there was a lot of conflict with his family when he was growing up as a kid. So I definitely think that that scene was coming from a personal experience of his in some way. Even I sent you guys a Letterboxd review, and I'm gonna shout it out. But in this Letterboxd review, someone mentioned what Denis Villeneuve said about the film, and he said that he thinks it's one of Spielberg's most personal. And like after reading that, I was like, yeah, it kind of is, because there's just so many elements to this. I mean, like even the way that Roy becomes obsessed and like starts doing like the artwork and stuff, like in this Letterboxd review, they kind of like paralleled that with Spielberg's own obsession into becoming a filmmaker. And so I don't know, it just I felt there's a like a lot of reality into all the family drama.
That refrain of "this is important, this means something," like
Yes.
that, I could see how that would be like a personal line to him. Like maybe I haven't seen Fabelmans, but from my understanding, that sentiment is kind of in that movie of like, this is important. It's not a dumb hobby kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely. You should watch it. Honestly, I think it's pretty great.
John Williams again, of course, and it's a very different score, piano driven, really good.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's good.
I do want to clarify too, like the dinner table scene that you guys keep bringing up. I loved that. Like that was very, very good.
Signs vibes.
What?
Signs vibes for me.
Yes, absolutely signs vibes. Like, wow, yes, big time. Just thinking about it, but it just felt like almost like. I felt like it was escalated a little too quickly for me to really connect there. I felt like their reaction. I felt like how they were acting in that scene would be how they would have been acting when he was like pulling plants out of the yard and like pulling the chicken wire from the neighbor's yard. And like,
I will say their reaction there was weirdly subdued.
It was super subdued there, yet really escalated in the scene where he actually needed their support. And like I thought he was being I thought everything there was actually his performance and the things he was saying. I was heartbroken for him.
Yeah.
And I felt like the family was just so cold, like out of nowhere. Not like, I get being scared. I get being like scared that you're losing your dad. I get being scared that your husband, like this, your family is about to not be stable or something. Like, I get the fears there, but it felt like they escalated that. And then the following scene, when they actually left him, they were super subdued. And I would have thought they would have acted more like the fighting scene in that scene and then left. But it just felt kind of clunky and disjointed and out of place where it happened. And so I don't know. I wanted, because I know that this was such a personal film for him, I want to feel more. I just didn't feel as much as I want to feel in it. So unfortunately, but yeah, that's I don't even want to spend so much time on the things that I don't like, because there's so many good things. Seriously, there's so many good things.
I will say though, I think it's one of those things where like I don't like blame you, or I'm not like discrediting like how like your sentiment towards.
No, I don't get that. I don't get that feeling.
Like, no. Yeah, I just wanted to say that though. Like, I think like this is one of those things where it's like, the movie like didn't like fully work for you, and that's fine. Like, a lot of that stuff worked for me and James, and that's fine too.
But I'm right about this one and Independence Day.
Unfortunately not, because Independence Day isn't actually very good, and this is phenomenal.
Can we please do Independence Day for 4th of July?
I would do it. I would love the platform to be able to.
I think it would be a really fun episode. I really, really do. I will go to bat for that movie all the time. And this movie is better than Independence Day. I just want to get that out there. Independence Day is ridiculous. I love the ridiculousness of it. I will defend it all day.
Also, so he clarified in the comment, we were talking to David from the Odyssey, and he caveats that ideas and theories do not represent those of fellow Odyssey members. But he made a comment that I replied to in the chat, but I do like here where when he's with you in disliking like the kind of the shouting scene. And he made an interesting point where he said, where was
It belongs in Raging Bull, basically.
Yeah, that it's a Raging Bull scene, not here. And that's an interesting point. I think for me, part of why it felt like it belonged here was I just kind of bought into the reality of this. Like this felt like a very, you have your Independence Days and then you have your Close Encounters, and because Close Encounters feels like these human beings feel more real and authentic, and like because of that, that allows for a Raging Bull-esque scene of just real people freaking out about like, you know, world-changing discoveries and you know, family destroying, you know, mental breakdowns and whatnot. So like we spend so much of this time so much of our time in this, like just with the scientists being like, yeah, okay, we got coordinates. I love the scene where they pull out the globe and you just got the shots of their fingers tracing over.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this is good stuff. I love this. But
Such
like
a sucker for fingers on a globe.
yeah. But like
actual globe too. I love it.
Yeah. That globe's expensive though. It just pops off.
They're just rolling it down the hall.
There's some great Spielberg humor in this. But it feels like just like we're actually doing the real work of like I love the scene whenever he's doing the hand signals and they're going over the music to that audience and like it feels like this is a movie. This is a kind of first contact movie where we're doing the real work of being like, what happens? What does this mean for us? How do we address this? How would people react? And so because it feels like a movie pretty grounded in our reality as far as human behavior, that kind of allows for that kind of Raging Bull scene to play out in my mind, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. I also to the optimism of this movie. I think I kind of just keep going back and forth between this movie and movies where we're just automatically assuming that they're here to destroy us, and a lot of times that's what they're here to do. I very much took note of the grizzle, like the kind of cynical looking old man and his wife standing there looking up at the sky, and then they see the lights and it shows the ship coming toward them, and then it shows them again, and the old man is just like all of a sudden like a kid. There's like this I don't know, it was like this movie, in a lot of other movies, that old man is running for the hills and like or trying to defend his family or whatever, and in this one there's a wonder, and he's over his life he's lost his sense of wonder, but he just found it again. I got the sense that he just found all of that wonder again in his performance of a smile. I don't know why that one old man just really stuck out in my mind, and
Old man.
What?
That's a good job, old man.
Yeah, good job, old timer. But that is an aspect of this movie that I just think is so good. I do have a question for you guys. I want to know if you can answer this for me. So, if these aliens are well-meaning, and friendly, why did they take the kid to begin with? Why did they abduct the kid from his house? By the way, the scene of him looking out the door.
I want to come back to that scene after.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great scene from beginning to end, but like that specific shot, it was just the orange everywhere. It's just so good. But I just didn't understand, like, ultimately, why did they kidnap the kid to begin with? He's a kid, and it never really got there.
The only thing that, like, or at least the way that I thought of it and was looking at it, is I'm assuming that like if these aliens are friendly, like it just seems like they're studying the humans, you know. And I think they show that they've like abducted like a wide range of like ages and like different types of people. So that's just like the impression that I got, is that like, you know, they're studying humans like like from like they're just casting a wide net essentially. I don't know, that's just the way I took it though.
David said in the comments, he said he connected with them, sort of got them. They're looking for an envoy. They've also been clumsy about what they've been doing. And I actually really like both of those points. It does feel like there is almost a clumsiness to it, of like, you know, they show up and technology freaks out, people freak out. Like there's a like they're not super efficient about it. But I do like that idea of like, we're kind of like Francois Truffaut's character in it, of like, I don't know what makes these people special, but some people, something clicked for them, you know, and something clicked for the boy, and so they came back for him. And I don't know that the movie even tries to give us much more to even like speculate beyond that. And maybe that's why we're kind of meant to be like Richard Dreyfuss at the end of like, I need answers, you know, like I could never turn down the opportunity to find out, why were you here and what's going on.
I guess that's good too. I like that answer as well, because all the adults that showed up there saw that, like, a vision of that place, right? That whatever it's called, what's it called? Devil's something? I can't remember what it's called.
Devil's Mountain, Devil's Canyon, Devil's Peak,
Devil's Tower, maybe?
Devil's Tower.
Peak.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, we should do Dante's Peak, by the way.
Never seen it.
I've only seen it one time. I think it'd be fun. Pierce Brosnan. Let's do it. But I like that because they are adults, and they came forward and they had all these paintings and stuff that they had done, or photos or whatever. And they'd all seen this place. Well, the kid did too. We know the kid was making that little mound in the dirt or whatever near the road. Do you remember that scene?
Mm-hmm.
It was the first time Richard Dreyfuss' character was like, this is important. You know, and so it does make total sense, I guess, now that I think about it in that way. He got them, and he was seeing a lot of the same stuff that these adults were seeing as well, that ended up going with them. So that actually does clear that up for me quite a bit. I like that.
Good stuff. I don't have any additional thoughts on that.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Yes.
Sorry.
Oh, good. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you brought up that scene of the boy and his mother in that house, and I was literally like, I was like so on the edge of my seat, like curled up on my couch, being like, oh my, like that is one of my new favorite scenes in a movie. The way the light is shining, like you got the door bit, which is just obviously like one of the iconic images of cinema now.
Yeah.
Just also, but like what like all the montages that include that aren't able to include is the sound design. Yeah. Like you ultimately do like, these aliens are ultimately presented as friendly, and there is generally an optimistic tone and a sense of wonder, but there are moments where, to me, it's kind of, the aliens are kind of terrifying. Like, like there's this kind of existential fear that at least I felt in certain scenes. And in that scene, when the boy opens the door, you just hear these male voices going, like it is this bass guttural kind of like, oh, like as that door is open. And I just went, like I was with them all, like, close that door, dude. I have no idea
Yeah.
what is on the other side of that. That is terrifying.
Yes.
And
I love like just like all the like different like electronics like going crazy and like stuff like shaking and flying around. It honestly like reminded me of the Poltergeist and like like this scene, and then also the scene in the truck where stuff starts flying around. Like I really like how heavily Spielberg was like leaning into like the horror of those scenes, because like it's like actually terrifying. And I think it like it still I still feel like it tonally like works for the film, because like you know I feel like they do a good job, especially with the truck scene, of like, you know, everyone has like this awe and wonder and like this optimism about the aliens, and like they're not like fully scared of them, but when they get too close, that's whenever like they start to become a little bit afraid, and it's like, all right, like what are they actually doing? And I think like a good way of showing that was whenever like Roy gets his face sunburnt from the light of the UFO.
What a cool! I love that. Yes.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And like this is just a little side note. Keeping that makeup consistent throughout the film.
Yeah, with like
and
when
then
it's peeling and when it's
and then also there's the scene where he has the shaving cream on both of his hands, and like they like he keeps it like on his hands for like the next couple of like however many shots, and I was just like,
great.
I was like, that's something that like most of the time like even the best directors would just forget about, like, but they really like paid like close attention to detail, and it was awesome.
Close attention to the third kind.
And I do think that that's one thing, you know, you're talking about just like the horror and even like this, the intensity of it and the tension that scene brought in the truck. I feel like that's something even back when we talked about Jaws on one of our first episodes, we talked about like Spielberg is a master of tension building. And
yeah,
so like that is very present in this film as well. Like even at the end, like I mentioned earlier, I kept thinking something's gonna go
When's
wrong.
the shoe drop?
He faked me out like every time, because I still kept waiting for either shoe to drop, and it never does.
Even whenever the creepy like alien he still fakes us out,
and then he eventually smiles at the end. Basically, and it's just like
I love the claymation alien, by the way.
Yeah,
like I love it.
I love the wave.
These are the beginnings, but the glory days of ILM doing like the coolest practical
in-camera effect stuff ever.
It's so good. But yeah, that whole last bit was just it was just masterful.
And the way things escalate, like in that truck scene and in the house scene, like
sorry, real quick. David did say I don't think this was ILM. Trumbull was there, but ILM also. In the credits, you see Dennis Muren's name, and I know for a fact that ILM did work on this as well. So it's a combo, I think.
Well,
but
wow, Trumbull ILM team up. No wonder it looks amazing.
Yeah, you can't. That's not going to hurt your movie.
But whenever the truck scene, like something is going to happen in the truck scene, like while he's in it. I knew something was going to happen the first time he had somebody pass him up, because I'm like, okay, well, the next time he's going to do that, and it's not going to, that setup was there, and the light showed up, and I was like, all right, what's this going to be? Again, like, I feel like, no lie, like, my jaw dropped a few times in this movie where I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
Like, I just got so excited. Whenever the lights came up there and he's waving them, and then instead of passing him, the lights go up above him, I was like, oh, that's the coolest thing in the world. But then like to the house scene again, like the lights coming down the chimney, and So I've got like I've got a fairly nice-ish like subwoofer, and usually it's just there to kind of have some kind of like deeper sound, but it's honestly not super noticeable. This movie, in all of my like 4 years of owning this is the most taxed my subwoofer has ever been, weirdly enough, because in that whole scene, whenever she like, it's got that great shot of her, like it sounds like something lands on the roof, and you've got the tracking shot of her looking at the ceiling. That whole time, my bass is like like it is like you've got something that is like the world crashing down around you. The way it added the tension for me, I was like, gosh, what is happening? I've never heard this before in my house. It was just so. And then whenever I love floor vents in older houses, but like whenever the floor vent just straight up shoots the rug, I was like,
yes,
this is full on horror. And like when the kid going out through the pet door, and it's just like as it opens, just the pure orange light coming back, like, and anytime you have the effects of like the clouds and the orange lightning that keeps like highlighting the silhouette, like, oh my gosh, it is just unreal.
David brought it up. I was about to bring it up. How about the screws going up?
Oh yeah, because that shows like this is intention.
Yeah,
this isn't just like weird sounds. Like they are actively trying to get in.
Yeah. Which was, again, at the end, why I was like, why did they take the kid in such a scary way? Like,
yeah,
it really does not seem friendly.
Oh, he just David just asked that in the comments. He said, "Do you find yourself not asking why did they do things in such a scary way?"
That's hilarious. Yeah, literally, that's why I was feeling that way. Yeah. The answer is The answer is yes. I found myself asking that to myself.
I think he's saying whenever you ask yourself why were they doing this, what do you think the answer is? And
because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
Maybe
and they don't know how to interface with our world. Maybe to them, they're like, "What is that?" They didn't.
Social boundaries.
Yeah, they haven't learned how to communicate yet.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. To me that house scene, and like when she runs out and the clouds are like departing, and that like everything with that abduction scene to me is like, I don't know. That's like, again, one of my new favorite like scenes in a movie. I thought it was so incredible.
It's fantastic.
This is
also
actually
like
the origin story for Star-Lord, actually.
Yeah. I'm also just such a huge fan of like the night sky in this movie. Like just seeing all of the stars, like, man.
Especially when you've got the night sky on the upper part of the frame, and then you've got the one shot that has all of like the straight lines of the suburban lights beneath it. Those shots,
whenever the lights come back on.
Yes, when they come back on, dude.
It is.
I can't believe they literally turned off all the lights in LA to do this. They're like, yeah, you got to turn the grid off. But
we'll do it.
Like,
we saw Jaws. It'll be worth it.
Let Spielberg cook. Also real quick, David also mentioned back when we were talking about ILM, he said no wonder this and Star Trek the motion picture looks so great. And
that movie looks,
the motion picture is awesome.
It's so good. And those effects, the effects of V'ger, like the ship itself from the outside, I can take 10 minutes of flyover shots of that ship. It's so awesome.
Such a huge fan of it.
I love Star Trek so much. I've seen it totally.
Oh,
Michael, we got to change that this year. That has to be one of your goals for
actually
2025.
Would like to.
Yeah. Dude, the original series is such a comforting, fun show.
I did tell y'all. I told y'all,
you got it right.
I did buy it because Apple had it super cheap, and I was like, well, I mean, I've intended to watch this, and let's just get it here. So
it's such a vibe.
Yeah, so I will be watching it. So watch the show first and then the movie. Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah. And you've got 3 awesome movies, a really good movie, an movie, and a bad movie. but the batting average of those 6 original series movies is way better than I expected.
Yeah, you
Nice.
got a lot of good stuff.
I know the first 2 are really well thought of. I just don't know about the rest, I guess.
Well, the first one is pretty divisive, actually. A lot
Oh,
of
really?
people find it. Well, a lot of people find it really boring.
Oh, okay.
But
The Wrath of Khan is very weird.
The Wrath of Khan is
It's like the Empire Strikes Back of. I don't know if the movies are similar. I'm just saying like the way that people talk about it.
Oh yeah, it's
as a second
like,
movie
sentiment for sure. Yeah.
But anyways, people who don't like the motion picture are wrong anyways, because the motion picture freaking
It's fantastic.
It is awesome.
It is the highbrow, like cerebral sci-fi version of Star Trek in the movies.
Lame, give me pew pew.
Hey, listen, when it goes pew pew, it's also good.
Yeah.
But
I'm just kidding. But
I want to shout out one last effect shot. That was, again, one of those moments where me in the middle of my living room with nobody else around just made me go, oh. The shot of like the circle of clouds forming. I don't know how that was done. Like that blew my mind, watching the clouds like form and roll out and expand. Like that was one of the coolest shots I think I've ever seen in my life. And I was like 1970, what are they, what is this? This looks like, that's what I would want that to look like in a movie right now. That looks incredible. So yeah, just, it wasn't even like, you didn't even get all the cool lightning bits. It was just like watching clouds form out in real time. And it, like, I sat there like a dumb little kid being like, what? So
I
cool.
did constantly wonder, how are they doing these clouds? Like this is 77 and earlier. It released in 77. Who knows when these were done, but it's crazy to me. They look so cool.
Yeah. And yes, it's the clouds around Devil's Tower. Yeah, when that happens, I was like, this is my eyes have no idea how what they're seeing was achieved, but I just know that I got this. It's one of those moments where I'm like, man, I'm glad I love movies because this is awesome.
Yeah, it's so freaking cool. Oh man,
trying to think of any other thoughts that I have. Really, really good movie on the whole. I just end up frustrated at things because for me, I wish it could have been better in certain ways because it was so unbelievably good in other ways. But I just think Spielberg, there's nobody that has it. Nobody directs things like him. There's something about the magic that he was cooking with, especially in the 70s and 80s. Like and the 90s. No, what am I talking about?
I was about to say Jurassic Park.
No, yeah. Like specifically that 20-year run.
You know, that little isolated window of 20 years of
hit after hit after hit. It's just there, but the way that he uses color and light and generally the way that he has, heart and character. I just wish I would have felt that more in this, so, but really, I'm glad I finally watched it. I'm glad it's been sitting
light a set though, man.
It's what?
Can't he just light a set though?
I know.
It does. We talk about it like in many of our chats that we have, but like movies nowadays, there's something about lighting and like
everything's so flatly lit,
or like just
saturation is weird,
or it's way too like dimly lit.
That's what I was like at night. Nobody knows how to light night anymore, and in this movie, it still felt like night, but it felt like you could see everything that was going on, but in the best way. Like it never felt like it was bright. It just felt like well lit night.
Yeah, there's something that, like, I mean, you'll still get it like every now and then from certain directors, but I don't like when directors are shooting their films now at night and just making it pitch black. It's
Yeah.
like you don't have to have it look 100% realistic.
Yeah.
Like and sometimes, you know, if the moon is out, like bro, it can be bright, but like also let the night sky be
Give me
blue
those
and purple.
Yeah,
and
let me see those blues.
yes,
Please, I
like,
love them.
we need to bring that back. Like
Yeah.
I think I love like a lot of naturalistic looking films, but I think that there's just a lost art in like
Films that don't call for naturalism are going that route, and it's
yeah, exactly. It's like you don't need to do that. It's okay to be like aesthetically unique and creative with it. Like
Yeah.
I
put
don't
a
know.
blue spotlight in the corner of your set. It'll look awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It will.
Seriously.
like
Throw some like put a fog machine in there. That's gonna go so hard.
God. The colors.
Terminator and Terminator 2, dude.
Yeah, James Cameron, dude.
James Cameron knows how to light, dude. Oh, and
Yes.
he and Spielberg in that era with between the light and the fog, they were unbeatable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see this? Did you see
Yeah.
this? Yeah, read that. That is awesome.
So he explained in the comments the cloud thing. He said they had a tank of salt water unmixed with non-salt water, basically layered, and when they injected milk between the layers in front of a blur screen, they got those sea cloud shapes.
Wow.
Never in a million years would that have been my guess, but that's what happened to in-camera effects.
Yeah.
I want that kind of like, or a blue screen. That I want that again, where they're mixing paints and they're mixing liquids and they're like, dude, like that's why anytime Nolan's like, yeah, all the effects you're gonna see here are like achieved in camera effects. I'm like, oh, take me there, please.
Yes.
Somebody's doing it.
I can't wait to see what he conjures up with the Odyssey.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
He's gonna like actually have like real like Greek gods like summoned or something.
Watch, it's actually a movie version of Mario Odyssey, and we've been hoodwinked.
It still go hard.
Dude, Mario Odyssey is awesome.
Oh, it's
He'd-
super
he'd-
fun. The
he'd
story
such
is so stupid. Just like much of Mario game stories, but
David said he
I
sent a
love
picture too.
Mario.
I was just gonna say pictures won't show up in the chat, I don't think.
unless maybe they do on YouTube. Let me see. No, I'm not seeing it, unfortunately.
I'm not either.
But
Yeah.
yeah, dang. But man, yeah. Really, really good movie. Glad I finally watched it. It's been one of those movies that I've owned for a good while now, and I've always been meaning to watch it. I just needed the right time, and I would love anytime that you guys want to talk about another Spielberg movie. Let's go. There's so many to choose from.
Yes. I'm always down for
I haven't
Spielberg.
seen E.T.
What?
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe we should do that one next.
Dude, I'm so down, but like also I'm shocked.
I am
Yeah.
too.
I don't
I
know
haven't-
how.
I have not seen it since I was a kid, so
It's been
my
years and years for me too. So this would be
my
would be
opinion
really
of
fun.
it will probably be very different, but like I would so be down. I've wanted to rewatch it for a long while now.
Yeah. We could also do The Terminal.
Dude, that movie's fun.
I like it. I actually really like The Terminal, but that's not a Steven Spielberg movie we need to cover.
I thought it was okay.
But dude, okay, yeah, we need to remember that E.T. That needs to go on the short list.
Yes. That blows my mind, dude.
Oh man, yeah.
All right. Well, do you guys have any final thoughts?
I think I kind of covered everything for me.
Same.
Same here. Yeah.
Just want to remind everyone I liked this movie.
All right, if you insist.
Yeah. 3.5 stars. I don't think so.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know you hated Dumb and Dumber then.
All right, cut it off.
Oh
I
yeah,
forgot.
that is true. I do hate Dumb and Dumber.
Peak comedy.
He said, I put the cloud tank pick on the Banter Fodder F book page.
Oh, okay, cool.
Sorry,
Yeah.
we're on YouTube and in our StreamYard stuff. So
but I'm gonna pull up the group after we end
same.
this to take a peek at that, because that's incredible. That's
For sure.
one of the coolest explanations for a cool effect shot ever.
Seriously.
Yeah. But yeah, this was a really fun one to chat about, and I really I had such a good time rewatching it because it's awesome.
I'm glad I finally watched it.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah. So that was, and also we had a lot of great engagement, not only from David but from other people as well. So that just made it all the more
Thank
fun.
you for engaging with us all the way through. You had a lot of really cool comments and stuff that
shared a lot of really cool info. It was super fun to have you in the chat with us. But yeah, if you guys are listening on the podcast feed, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're now only 5 subscribers away from hitting 50, which may not seem like a lot, but it is for us. So that'll be a huge milestone once we hit that. I'm really excited too. We're getting there. But and then also make sure you join our Facebook group if you're not in there yet, so you can just join in on some fun discussions that we've got going on. As of this recording, James just shared a post of asking what everyone's 2025 movie watching goals are. So definitely join in the discussion there. And then also be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast listening services. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, and make sure you support your local theaters. And until next time, see y'all later.